Welcome to Live from Dennis's house, only on 474 The Mix, where the music matters. I'm your host, Dennis Morgillo, and each week we transport you back in time to a simpler time, to a happier time, when men were men and they weren't afraid to show it, to a time when porn stashes, chest hair, polyester leisure suits, platform shoes, and perms were all the rage. Yes, I'm going to transport you back to 1975, back to your parents' basement, your bedroom, rec room, attic, wherever you hung out as a kid listening to vinyl albums. So dust off those old records and get ready for some fun memories. Today, we are spotlighting the 1975 classic album, Fleetwood Mac.
Nice.
By none other than Fleetwood Mac. Isn't that a coincidence?
Go figure.
It's uncanny.
Yes. Now, I was thinking about that. What if I put out an album and I call it Fleetwood Mac by Dennis Morgillo? Is that allowed, or would I get sued? Or
Oh, definitely.
Then you'd get a cease and desist.
Yeah, immediately.
I would imagine someone else thought about this in the years since music's been being recorded. So if no one's done it, it's like, otherwise every album that came out would be The Rolling Stones by D.D. Pye.
Right.
And no one would ever know when to buy an album anymore. So, all right, good thing. Anyway.
Pick a new name.
All right, let's say hello to today's crew. We got a small crew today, but my sidekick and co-host, Cha-Cha Ferriola.
Hey.
And the musical director and band leader, Dee Pye.
How you doing?
And the head writer, Stephen Bello, could not make it because he had explosive diarrhea, as you know. So we're going to carry on without him. It's a lot of that going around because we had 2 guests canceled today, too, for the same reason. So we're just winging it today.
And
Talk
even
about
if they
dropping
didn't.
Yes. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to do the Man About Town segment. And the first thing I want to discuss is I witnessed this week a guy blowing his nose into a handkerchief and jamming it back into his pocket. So now I want to know, the first thing I want to know is what does he do with that? Like now when he goes home, does he take it out of his pocket, give it to his wife and say, here, wash this now? Or does he throw it in the hamper? Do you think he dry cleans it, takes it with a little hanger to the dry cleaner and says, can you launder this for me?
He leaves it in his pants.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Until it becomes like stiff as a board, and then he throws it away.
Or his wife yells and goes, get rid of that handkerchief.
I'm sure that they keep using the same one over and over and
Yeah.
over. So I say that it's vile and they should be outlawed. When if I become president, that's what platform I'm running on, the anti-handkerchief platform. What do you think of that?
I like a man that carries a handkerchief.
Well, there you go. We're going to get to that. I know you were going to say that because, once again, that brings me right into my next story. That this weekend, I went to my favorite movie theater again, the One Room Theater in Bradley Beach that I love so much. And the movie playing was Intern with Robert De Niro. And it was a very nice movie. I loved the movie. I laughed. I cried. It was awesome. But he plays a 70-year-old guy who's all fancy and fashionable and classy and all this. And he explained why men should always carry a handkerchief. And the reason is, in case a woman cries, then you'll have a handkerchief to give her to dry her eyes. But it seems, that's a good idea. If that's all fine and good. But then just leave it at that. Save it. It's for showing, not for blowing, And if you ever need it because what happens, you blow your nose in it, and then a girl's crying, and then you got to hand her your snotty handkerchief.
Good point. That's a really good point. Or, the guy pulls it out, and it's like gray. And you're like, you know what? I'm good with my finger, thanks.
Just be like cardboard.
To wipe your eyes, I mean.
All right. So handkerchiefs will now be outlawed. They better be nicely folded and only in case of a girl crying. And that's never actually happened to me, where I had to run for a handkerchief to give to a girl that was crying. I don't think girls cry as much as they used to back then.
They don't.
Especially in the workplace.
Yes. So anyway, if you guys want to have a nice throwback evening that is the perfect place to do it. Is the Bradley Beach Theater. Go see this movie, and then go across the street to Vic's Italian Restaurant, and it's like you're in 1975. The places look exactly the same. You'll have a great movie, great food, excellent time. Go right back to 1975.
You got 1975 prices?
Kind
Not
of.
really. Not too bad, though. Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah, right. So I decided next week for my Man About Town segment, I am going to review the new brothel that opened on Route 9 right across from the Bedbug Inn. So you guys will look forward to that.
Yeah.
Now, next thing I want to talk about, I seem to be monopolizing the show here with all my talking, but we'll get to you guys. Don't you worry.
Thanks.
But
It's okay.
I read also in the paper that this daredevil named Johnny Strange, he died in a wingsuit accident in the Swiss Alps. Now, do you guys know what this wingsuit is? Have you seen this?
No.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's like, what the heck is that? It's like, it's right out of the Wile E. Coyote cartoon with the Roadrunner, that it looks like you order it from Acme, and you go and you put it on, and it's like, it looks just like he used to wear. Wile E. Coyote definitely wore this. And you jump off a mountain, and you just have this suit on, and it's like you have wings, and you're soaring down through trees, through the mountains, going 100 to 200 miles an hour, and I'm amazed that you don't die. That I'm very shocked for anyone that wouldn't die doing this. And why anyone would want to do this is beyond me. That a person dies, I was reading this, at least one a month dies doing this ridiculous sport.
I've never heard of this. Have you?
I've heard of it. Didn't
Oh.
Tom Cruise do that when in Mission Impossible?
Oh, I don't know. I
He
didn't
jumped
see that.
off the tallest building in wherever that building is. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they said he did his own stunts, and he was
Wow.
actually.
Yeah, I bet he didn't really do it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
But I've seen it. I've seen it
Wow.
on
Yeah, I don't
the
get
extreme.
any of these extreme sports. I'm against extreme sports. I don't understand why anybody wants to do this. Did you guys ever go skydiving or do anything crazy like that?
Never.
And would you ever?
I'm a wuss. I won't.
No, I
I'm
would
a
never do
wuss,
anything
too.
like that either.
Yeah.
There's, life is dangerous enough. It's hard
Right.
enough to live your whhole life without dying, let alone.
Hey, listen, we
doing
survived
crazy
the
stuff.
Bennies driving around our area, so that's an adventure in itself.
You're going to have to do a show about bennies. A lot of people don't even know what bennies are. We'll have to discuss that. For all
Aren't
time.
we Bennies?
Not me.
Oh, oh.
Once you're in New Jersey more than a certain amount of time, then you're no longer Benny.
Well,
so.
what's the amount of
Yeah,
time?
I don't want to do that whole show now. Like I said, we'll do a whole show about Bennies next summer.
I just want to know if I'm a Benny.
No,
No,
you're
you're
not.
not.
Oh.
So,
I
You're all right.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Anyway, I want to get back to extreme sports now. That it's like Jerry Seinfeld's mother used to say, "What's there to see underwater? Why do you have to go scuba diving? Why do you have to do this?" Oh, I know a story. This reminds me. I know a guy who lost a testicle at a slide, a water slide park, one of those.
Sorry,
You
yes.
do not know.
I do. I swear I do. That he went down to one of these, this is not really extreme sports, but he went down one of those really high slides, and the way that the pressure of the water, and maybe he was wearing a Speedo, I don't know the exact thought of it, but the bathing suit mixed in with the pressure of the water just took it right off. Bam.
That's a made-up
Oh.
story.
That is not. Look it up. Action,
How
Action
was he
Park
not
in
wearing
19
pants?
He had a bathing suit on, and sometimes, the pressure.
It went.
Yes.
Oh.
Did they find it floating around somewhere?
Yeah, imagine that.
Follow that
a little
bouncing
kid
ball.
got it. Yeah.
A marble? I don't know. Whatever they think it
Bouncing
is.
all over the park. He was running after it,
Do
chasing
they
it.
bounce?
I don't know. But so, speaking of that, now I got to get to the next story.
Speaking of that,
The next story.
Jack's ball. Okay, sorry.
The next story is this man who was born without a penis, and he's now
Oh.
getting a transplant from the skin from his arm. And that makes
Oh.
me think Caitlyn Jenner has a perfectly good one that she does not want or is not using. So couldn't she donate it to this poor guy who wants one?
what do they do with the
Extra
remove-
ones?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm starting a service now to, to find, people with pets to, so it's kind of like
Oh.
Match.com.
It's exactly like Match.com.
I was thinking it's more like those places that keep, your embryos cold until
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
like
So-
store it, maybe I might want it back.
Right. If not, if somebody else needs it,
Right.
in the meantime, you go, oh, right here, we have one.
I don't think
You
it
can rent
works that
them.
way.
Can you rent
this
them?
one might fit.
Can you rent one?
This is
awesome.
a brilliant business. Because also you have to worry about, too, a lot of women go around cutting their husbands off. You know, you heard about that, Lorena Bobbitt, and it's happened a
lot of
since
women.
then.
She could have sold it.
She could have.
Right.
She threw
or
it
that
away.
guy could have gone to the, bodypartmatch.com and get a new one. Simple as that. All right, it's my new business.
That's a public service that we really need.
Yeah, I was hoping I could make money out
You're
of the
so
deal. but-
thoughtful.
Yeah, right? Definitely. Wow.
So anyway.
But he has a girlfriend,
Who?
the guy who was born without
Didn't
a
they
penis.
sew it back on?
Who?
He-
Bobbitt did.
Oh,
yes,
Bobbitt,
yes.
yeah,
But this
and he
guy
went-
here is in the news now.
Oh, that
He
guy.
was like born without one.
Yeah. And he actually had hundreds of women.
Oh, yes.
That amazes me that he was and
just-
his friends had no idea this was going on.
Well,
And
Yeah, I guess you don't want to
he
broadcast
was-
something like that.
I'm
So?
sure he found other ways.
I guess.
he was there for them.
You never know. You could, your best friend could not have one. The person sitting next to you may not have one. All you people at home, look to the person on your right and your left. You never know. All right. Now, we are going to meet Dee Dee Pye, our musical director and band leader. Now, we she's been on the show, but we haven't really talked in depth with her, so now it's a good time. We're going to make the scene with Dee Dee Pye. Hey, Dee Dee, so what do you got going on over there? Anything new and exciting? Anything you'd like to talk about?
Well, I was a homebody this weekend, but there's a lot of really awesome local stuff going on. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, there's plenty to do, and I'll be self-serving because some of it is pie. Hey,
Well, let's talk about that. Some people might
Yeah.
not know about that. Tell us
Okay.
about your band and all this and everything you got going
Okay.
on.
I'm half of Strawberry Pie. We are an acoustic duo. My other half is Laura Johnson. I'm sure if you're on any social media, you've seen something about us because we're all over the place. We met at Rock and Roll Karaoke at the Downtown Cafe in Red Bank with Arlene's Grocery famous rock and roll karaoke band. And she sang, I sang, we liked each other. We became friends, and we've been singing together for 3 years now. We
Awesome.
play places all over the shore. And this Saturday, as a matter of fact, might as well, we're doing the Cape May Wine Festival.
Wow.
And that is
fun.
at the Naval Station Wildwood Aviation Museum. They're going to have over 100 New Jersey wineries doing their wines, and they're going to have food trucks, and they're going to have old airplanes on exhibit. It's going to be a nice day. It's 12 to 5, I believe, and we play 12:30 to 4:30.
And that's on Saturday.
Saturday, that's October 10th. Just go on our website, strawberrypie.com, and the link to the event is there.
It's going to be a beautiful weekend, a
Oh.
nice fall, crisp weekend, I
Yeah.
hope,
Yeah.
too.
Perfect weather.
Yes.
It's supposed to be in the high 60s, so we're going to have a nice day.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, in addition to Saturday's amazing event, and if you're going anywhere, go there. But if you can't go there, there's other stuff you can do. On Friday at 6 o'clock, Owen's Heavy Metal is at the Allure Oyster Bar and Grill in Brielle. Nice acoustic show, good food, good seafood, good drinks. So, nice evening, early evening. So, if you're going someplace else, you can go there first, eat, listen to music, and then go party. And then Saturday, if you can't be down in Cape May and you're somewhere in the Allentown area, Ronnie Brandt, the singing cowboy, is going to be at the Cream Ridge Winery in Allentown from 2 to 5. Then Sunday, Gary Cavaco and Vinny Lopez, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Vinny Lopez, they're going to be at Allure, again, the Oyster Bar and Grill, at 4 o'clock. And then Sandy Mack and friends are going to be at Harry's Lobster House at 5. And that's awesome because it's a big jam. You never know who's going to show up. The last time I went to that, Lisa Sherman, one of our guests, showed up. Let me tell you, man, she was belting out some vocals that even my kid, who's a metalhead, was like, wow. You know, because she can really hit some crazy notes. She's amazing. So it's really cool because you never know who's going to show up to that jam.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We might have to
So
check that out.
Those are the goings on.
Yeah. Well, you and Laura are amazing.
Thank you.
You really are. If anyone hasn't seen you, they should definitely go see you.
You know what? Listen to Cha Cha. If you haven't seen Pie,
Because
get some.
I know.
She knows what she's talking
I
about. Absolutely.
Yes. So is that it? Is that the
Those are-
making the scene? You got anything else you want to talk
Those
about?
are pretty much the goings on. We've got a lot of other stuff coming up that I can't remember because
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week
Yeah.
as the time comes up.
and I'm old, so yeah. By the
Yeah,
way,
my
our
content.
birth month is coming soon.
Yes.
Yeah, we
It's
gotta
our
talk
birth
about
month,
that
Laura's
soon.
birth month. We're gonna have
A big
Are we
November
gonna have a big
party.
show
Yes,
for
we're
that?
having a big
Okay.
birthday bash in November.
right.
Stay
Yeah.
tuned for that. So now we're going to go to the word on the street with
Oh.
Cha-Cha Barrett,
Wow.
gossip columnist to the stars.
Wow.
Are you prepared?
I hope you're prepared
Oh,
because
I got
have
my
a
seatbelt
really
on.
yes, because I have a really big story that I think you're gonna really find interesting. Michael Jackson's kids are gonna do a reality show.
Wow.
Oh,
I
God help
definitely
us.
be
Did you
interested
hear
in
about
that. No, I did
yeah,
not.
he
No.
has 3 kids. and-
Blanket's one of them, right?
Blanket and Paris and Prince. And the irony is that Michael had kept, he kept them hidden. Like he would hide them under blankets. He would, basically they were under.
they had
What did they
masks,
have?
right?
Masks,
You could put masks
yeah.
on them. Yeah.
They're gonna do a reality show.
When's that starting?
I don't. That hasn't been announced yet. But
Oh,
they
he's
are
gonna be
doing
rolling
a-
in his grave.
He is. I know.
Yeah, well,
And my next story is about Rosie O'Donnell.
ooh.
And it's actually about Rosie O'Donnell's 18-year-old daughter, Chelsea. Back in August, Rosie O'Donnell she had put out the word that her daughter had run away or that she was missing. And it turns out that none of that was true, that her daughter had disputed that she had run away, but that Rosie O'Donnell had thrown her out of the house.
Oh.
And she was found with her 25-year-old heroin-addicted boyfriend.
Whoa.
Right. So, and now she is living with this man and his family in New Jersey. And
Wow.
Rosie is trying to say that her daughter is mentally ill, and the daughter is disputing that she's mentally ill.
Well,
So,
that's a good sign that you're not mentally ill if you can dispute it.
I don't know. Is that true? Like,
Well, they say if you know that you're crazy, then you're not. But so she's disputing
Well,
it. So maybe she is.
Yeah, maybe she is.
well,
Hey,
Well, she made a
did
poor
they
choice.
say where in New Jersey? Maybe we
no,
can get her on
they
the show.
Didn't. They didn't say where in New Jersey.
Okay.
And last but not least, and the word on the street is that Gladys Knight is coming out with a new album.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
With the Pips or without?
I believe it's without.
Wow. Wonder
Yeah.
what the Pips are up to.
Can you name the Pips?
No, I cannot.
Can you? Can you name
No.
them?
I bet
Oh.
Gladys Knight can't even name the
I
Pips.
bet, right, yeah. So,
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Cha-Cha and Dee Dee. Job well done. All right. Now it's time to talk about Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, and this album that came out in 1975. All right. Who wants to start?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Who were the original members of Fleetwood Mac?
Ooh.
Well, I do know that. Original members. It goes way back. Peter Green was the guitar player. Mick Fleetwood was in it. And then Bob Welch was in the band as well. And I think that's it. Oh, and McVeigh was in it too. John McVeigh, the bass player. Am I
I
right?
find you amazing.
I know everything. So anyway, we on a prior show we did rumors and we went all into the rumors album and everything that was going on at that time. So today we're going to focus on what I like to call the first album because not really a big fan of the Fleetwood Mac way back in the 60s and all of that stuff. I really liked them starting at this album and forward when Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham joined the band. Mm-hmm. So we're going to concentrate on this, and we're going to do a lot about Stevie Nicks. Now, does anyone know what Stevie Nicks' real name is? Stephanie Lynn Nicks, born in Phoenix, Arizona, and she's now 67 years old.
She's 67?
Yes.
She looks amazing.
She looks great,
Does.
yes. And she was crowned the reigning queen of rock and roll. She was named one of the 100 greatest singers of all time. And with Fleetwood Mac and her solo career, she has 40 top 50 hits, sold over 140 million albums, and was elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998. So we'll talk about Stevie and her life now, because she met up with Lindsey Buckingham in 1967 in high school at a party, and he was sitting there playing the acoustic guitar, playing California Dreaming, and she joined in on harmonies, and the rest was history. They created a band called Fritz, which had a little local success. They actually opened up for Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. And she says Janis Joplin was her most biggest influence, that once she saw her live, she was just crazy about it. And that's why, that's where she got her style from as well, she says, from Janis. But, after that band broke up, they formed a duo and they went around, a little success, but they didn't hit the big time until Mick Fleetwood called in 1975. He called Lindsey Buckingham and said, "Bob Welch, the guitar player, is leaving the band. Would you like to join?" And Lindsey Buckingham said, "We come as a package deal, though. If you want me, you got to take Stevie." And Mick Fleetwood said, "Yeah, all right." And then Stevie shows up, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're in, all right.
Sweet.
Forget you, Lindsey. We want Stevie." So and then this album, they recorded this in 1975 at the famous Sound City Studios in L.A., and it had just, it was huge hit songs. The Beautiful Landslide, which Dee Dee will be performing later.
Yes, I will.
Rhiannon, Over My Head, Say You Love Me, Monday Morning. This was the good times. Well, before everything turned bad after this album.
Oh.
That's when they had the drugs, the affairs, the breakups, failed relationships. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And that her and, we'll talk a little bit about rumors, though. Also, when that album came out, it was when both couples in Fleetwood Mac were breaking up at the same time, and they had to perform together and write songs, and it was just a lot of...
That's why you don't date in the band.
Exactly.
That's a rule. Stay outside of the circle.
Yes, and then adding ridiculous amounts of cocaine, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
And that's what happened. So I wanted to talk about a lot of her relationships. I bet a lot of you don't even know this, that she dated pretty much everyone in the music business. She broke that rule 700 times. She
Damn.
dated, I'll name them, Don Henley, J.D. Souther, Lindsey Buckingham, of course, the producer Jimmy Iovine, who did her albums, and then Mick Fleetwood even. And then the love of her life, she says, I was very surprised to hear this, was Joe Walsh.
Really?
I never knew this at all, yes.
Wow,
And
that's shocking.
that was the love of her life, but the relationship failed because it couldn't endure that both of them had ridiculous drug problems at the time. So that was that. But she was only married one time, surprisingly, and it was to her best friend's husband.
Wow, I didn't even know she was married.
Yes, one time for a very short time, that her best friend, Robin, this was an interesting story too, her best friend Robin had leukemia, and she got pregnant during this time, or right about the time she was diagnosed, and she wanted to try her best to stay alive, to have the baby, and she miraculously did, and the baby was born, and then she died. And then Stevie Nicks was heartbroken, and she just, ended up marrying the guy to raise the kid. But then, after a couple of months, they got divorced, and that was that. So she went on to a huge solo career after that, and every girl in the world loves Stevie Nicks. I've never met a girl that says, "Nah, I don't really like Stevie Nicks." They're usually influenced by her and think she's great, and she's her fashion, her, is she a witch? Is she into Wiccan? All that kind of stuff.
It's so cool. At karaoke, when I used to do that, almost every woman that did karaoke wanted to do Stevie Nicks. I mean, it was just Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks songs left and right.
Yeah.
Because she, that's how much they dig her.
Yes, absolutely. Are you a fan, too, of Stevie Nicks, Cha-Cha?
I loved her. I wanted to look just like her, dress like her. I wanted her crazy hair.
Who didn't?
I know. I just thought she was so cool.
All right.
And she was.
And she still is.
Yes, yes.
And she still
at her
is.
age, you
Yeah.
look at her, she
It's
looks
true.
amazing. She sounds amazing.
Yes, she went through serious drug problems, went to Betty Ford a
Yeah.
couple times, and now she's gotten herself back together now. She's doing good. So now it's that time of the show. Everyone playing at home, go and get your album.
Yes.
And you got to be careful with this one. The amount of cocaine that they did back then, you have to
Be flying home
sniff
after that.
Transcend?
lightly on that one. Yes, it's very subtle.
Yeah, it is subtle. It's
you'd think be much for a 40-year-old album.
There's a delicate hue.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, now we're going to talk about what's happening in the world. And this is the best story I've heard in a while here. That a priest pulls a gun on an 8-year-old boy in Little Ferry, New Jersey, because the kid was a Dallas Cowboys fan and the priest was a Giants fan. So the incident occurred before Mass on September 13th when Reverend Kevin Carter, 50-year-old pastor at St. Margaret of Cortana Catholic Church in Little Ferry, he allegedly invited the boy into the church's rectory. He then allegedly singled the boy out for being a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, lined the child against the wall, and then pointed the gun at the boy. The priest was given a stern talking to after that. I believe the church frowns upon such behavior.
Stern talking to?
So there's no word yet on whether he'll be criminally charged.
You gotta be kidding me.
This reminds me of the time in 1975 when the priest chased me around the rectory and grabbed me by the organ.
Oh.
But I did hear recently that he said that it was all a big misunderstanding.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a big
What else could it be?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I often point the gun at an 8-year-old, and it's misunderstood the way you do it.
It was a special blessing.
Yes. So, all right. So now, speaking of 1975, we're going to talk about the trends and things that are going on in 1975. There's a lot of great stuff going on in 1975. The movie Jaws was released in 1975.
Wow.
And tell me who's, to this day, still doesn't think about that when they go in the ocean.
Oh, God,
Oh,
yeah.
please.
I remember back in 1975, after seeing this, I was afraid to go into the bathtub or
Right?
the toilet, let alone into the ocean. Forget that. It was a great, great movie.
Yeah.
Yes. And then what else happened that year? Oh, President Ford. Remember him?
Yes.
He escaped 2 assassination attempts that year. Not 1, but 2. What do you think of that?
Wow.
Death-defying president.
And 1 was by, you know who, Squeaky Fromme from the
right.
Manson family.
Yes.
So
That's right.
There's a lot going on. And Saturday Night Live premiered that year also.
Wow.
The first episode was
Wow.
with George Carlin as host still. So what was some of your favorite skits that in that early year, or who was your favorite performer back in 1975, the original cast?
Well, I mean, I was young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you hear about World War II?
But I mean,
Civil War?
I'm trying to think because I was.
All right, let me tell you mine while you're both thinking about it now.
I know what mine is.
One of my favorite.
Don't say.
My favorite performer, of course, was John Belushi. But one of my favorite skits was when Garrett Morris would, when Chevy Chase was reading the news, and then Garrett Morris would say, all right, now we're going to do for hard of hearing people, and you expect them to be sign language, but he's just sitting in the back yelling real loud, whatever Chevy said.
Yeah.
So what about
Gilda Radner
yes.
was
Gilda, yeah.
definitely.
Rosanna
Yeah.
Dana, Emily Latella, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
She was in a
It was awesome.
skit where they were doing, it was a bunch of girls at a slumber party.
Oh, okay.
And they were talking about, and this is in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I'm doing this respectfully. They were talking about boobs and when guys look at your boobs. And her character said something like, yeah, I don't lay down because when I lay down, they go into my armpits and I don't want them to see me. And I was 11. I thought that was the funniest thing, picturing somebody's boobs going into their armpits. And if they're real, they do. They do go into your armpits, just saying. But Gilda Radner, she was my favorite.
Yeah, she was.
Absolutely.
Yes, it was a great, great show. And a lot of
And
stuff. Go ahead.
Wasn't that where the noogie came from?
Oh, yeah, the Nerds.
Yeah.
Well, that was like the next
John-
season, though, when
Oh,
Bill Murray
okay,
joined.
right.
And Gilda Radner was one of the nerds as well. So,
Todd.
so and then also in 1975, the Vietnam War ended. And some of the trends, I'm sure we all had these things. The Magic 8 Ball, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And the Pet Rocks.
I had
Oh,
one.
I had so
I
many.
And
did.
the Rubik's Cube and the mood rings. All this stuff going on. So,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
that is that. We are now out of time. Thanks for joining us here on Live from Dennis's House, only on 474 The Mix, where the music matters. See you next week when we'll be doing another classic album and behaving badly. Like me on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and check out my new website, DennisMorgillo.com. Remember, the radio show airs Friday, 5 p.m., repeated Sundays, 11 a.m. TV show airs Sunday at 9 a.m. on all social media and DennisMorgillo.com. Now, before we close the show, though, I want to talk about some other things. I am being featured in the newspaper, which will be coming out Thursday, which is tomorrow. When you watch this, it'll have already happened. So make sure you go get the co-star, and you'll see a full color ad of me, a full page of all about me and the show and all that kind of stuff, and my band and everything. And go out and get it. I'm going to buy 7,000 copies and mail one to everybody. So be sure to look out for that. And that's that.